Exactly 41 minutes past the hour. Thank you so much for staying with the Daily Report. I am George Maringa, delighted that you've joined us and stayed with us, for those who have been with us since the start of the show, as we look at school safety. To better understand the issues, especially on tragedy, fires, and to be able to just see what is the way forward. We've seen what is happening with other schools, the dormitories that are on fire, scenarios that are quite disheartening. Of course, coming after that tragic incident at Hillside Academy, Endarasha. And to further, have this conversation on school safety, I'm delighted to be joined in the studio by none other than Jose Njoki Imwengunjiri. He is a fire safety officer and also works with Africa Fire Mission. Thank you for joining us, Jose.
Thank you. Happy to be here. Thanks for having me.
Brilliant. Karibu sana. Welcome to the program. Joining us virtually is Dr. John Mukundi. He holds a doctorate in economics. He's also a specialist on school affairs, and he will be talking to us about, issues of schools, because he is not only an economist, but he's also the proprietor of Achievers College, Embu, and Fanaka Academy, Embu. Good evening, Daktari, and thank you for joining us on the Daily Report tonight. Daktari, can you hear me? Brilliant. We shall be, having that conversation. And I want to kick it off right here in studio with you, Jose. Mm-hmm. You bear the scars of an incident that occurred to you. Mm-hmm. And even as, show us these scars, you could talk to us about, just a brief history of exactly what happened to you, back in the day.
Yeah, it was back in the day, as you say. I was involved in a fire when I was 4 months old.
4 months?
Yes, I was 4 months old, and my house help left me in the house to go pick up my older sister in school. And she left the stove on, and then the house that my mom and dad were living in, at that time they were at work, caught fire. And that's how I succumbed to my injuries.
To what degree were they?
They were third-degree burns.
Third-degree burns.
Yes, I was hospitalized at Kenyatta National Hospital. Mm. Yes.
Third-degree burns, if you could just elaborate what exactly happened.
So what happens, the skin is the biggest organ in the body. And when you talk third degree, it means the fire goes up to the third layer of the skin, and then it burns quite a substance of your body parts. Yeah, so for me, it burnt my face, my hands, only those. Mm. That's actually what got burnt. And as you can see, on my hand, I lost most of my limbs on the left hand. This actually was done reconstructively when I was 4 months old. Mm-hmm. For me, at least when I get older, I can be able to use my left hand as normal as possible. Okay. And as fate would have it, I've been able to adapt. I've been able to get the support from my family, from my workmates, from my friends. Yes, so that's how I've been able to live.
Pole sana, Jose, for what happened back in the day. When now you saw the news over the weekend on Friday of what happened at Hillside and Endarasha, what came to mind, even as a firefighter?
First of all, allow me to send my condolences to the families. So far, we have 21 lives lost. I really condone with their families. I cannot imagine what the parents are going through, What came through my mind was...
Did it remind you of your past?
Yes, it did. And with what currently I'm doing, or rather what we're doing at Africa Fire Mission, we are going to schools and really vigorously, deliberately going to give these fire safety talks. All of a sudden I get news on the TV. I felt deflated. And I was like, wow, are this effort that we're doing making any progress? But then there is hope. Mm-hmm. There is hope in the system, and there is hope. Right now, what we just need to do is to pick up from where we have should I say, dropped the ball, and then get busy and get moving.
Indeed.
Yeah.
Jose has come with, some items, some paraphernalia to be able to just illustrate and demonstrate to us, how to mitigate a fire incident. We shall also be getting deeper into this. But let me bring in our virtual guest.
Absolutely.
That is Dr. John Mukuru, who holds a doctorate in economics. Dr. Good evening once again. Thank you for making time. I'd like to, pick your mind, especially on a document that is available for Kenyans and one that has perhaps been touted to continue gathering dust, the Safety Standards Manual for Schools in Kenya. And perhaps I'll begin by asking you, how compliant are you with that manual in both of your institutions?
Thank you so much for having me yet again. And first of all, let me pass my condolences to the families of the students who lost their lives at Hillside School. And I must also say that sometimes it is just an accident. Sometimes it is out of carelessness. Sometimes it is as a result of incompetent work. But all in all, I believe proper safety care requires to be put in place. And we at Achievers College and we at Royal Fanaka Academy, we have really put all the measures in place. We train our people on first aid. We have also proper capacity of the equipments that are needed. We have fire extinguishers. We have also fire exit and evacuation places. We have been checked by the Ministry of Education, and I believe all that has been put in place. And I believe it is something that every other institution requires to do so that we do not have such incidences, especially those boarding schools. There are some boarding schools where they are also boarding in those particular places. It is important that they take those safety measures, because the moment we have the safety measures, then we are sure that our students, we are sure that our pupils will always enjoy and we won't have such incidences in future. So safety precautions is quite important, including also fire detection things, equipment, including also the government coming in place so that we do not have issues of non-compliance of the same. So it is something that we have done in our college and also in our Royal Fanaka Academy.
Looking at the incidents that we saw, especially in this scenario of the school, ideally, who then would need to be quote unquote held to account? Who should be answering the questions? And even before we get to how then to mitigate this, from your perspective as an educationist, in terms of trying to get to the bottom of the matter, also in terms of investigations, the complexity of it all, Dr.
Yeah, one thing that I would want to say is sometimes there are always accidents.
Yes.
But also on the other hand, it is important, first of all, we ask whether the Ministry of Education, it has properly implemented the act. Yes. They need to actually check the buildings. They need to check the materials that are usually there. And therefore, we have the Ministry of Education also has a duty to check on the compliance of the people that are actually dealing with that are keeping the education institutions. But on top of that, we also have a culture as a society. As a society, we need to have that culture of complying, because it is like in Kenya, we usually don't have that culture of complying. You realize there are so many people that would want shortcuts in life. So many a times we overlook a small bits that really would cause a safety in our institutions. Like you get some incompetent wiring technician, and once you get that incompetent wiring technician, what happens is that he does some shonde work that would cause some problem. Sometimes also you realize that where you are told to rectify by the people in the ministry, by the people that enforce compliance, it is also not done in time. So I believe that is something that we need to do. It is something that we need to always learn as a nation to have that culture. But also, we keep a lot of inflammable materials, inflammable materials in our dormitories and in those places. Like you realize that hillside, there were also some canned goods that they were using, and that one is not. It is something that accelerated even the fire. So it is important that we also know that there are some things that we need to embark on, especially on the basic first aid things, on the basic precautions we need to really embark on so that we do not have such incidences. So I believe the buck stops with us as citizens, and the buck stops with the Ministry of Education for compliance. Once that is done, it is good.
Doctor, the education sector has, received, especially from this government, been the recipient of a lot of funding, as we see in the budget allocations. Do you think there is keen attention, especially on the safety, or are we looking at the bigger picture and forgetting matters to do with safety for learners and even for, those offering this learning, to the teachers, to the institutions as a whole? Do you think that is factored in as we budget this as a country?
Yeah, there is that particular problem of the way we are actually putting our priorities as a nation. And we know our priorities by the reason of the way we allocate some finances. So much of the finances has just been put in other areas. Like you realize there was a debate the other day that was talking about having distributed bursaries in so many positions. Like we have a bursary with the MCA, a bursary with the governor, a bursary with the Ministry of Education, any bursary.
Yes.
And we were saying that sometimes we scatter our resources so much. So I believe it is the high time that also the government comes with the way in which we are able to focus also on minor matters. Minor matters like student safety, minor matters like you see how compliance should be done. There is that department that is called the Audit Department Institutions. And I believe they just check the finances. But do we have a certain department that is funded from the ministry that actually deals with the compliance? And I believe there should be such a department. And if there is such a department, then we ask ourselves, is it properly funded so that they can be going to institutions so that they can be checking what is actually happening? I believe we need to do and to pull up our socks in that matter, Mr. George.
Indeed. Thank you, Dr. Stay on the line. We shall be coming, of course, to engage further with you. Remember, our SMS line is 22047. Our WhatsApp number is also on your screen on X. I'm at George Maringa _ or at TV47 News. Post your questions, comment, or feedback regarding the program tonight. Back to you, Jose.
Yep.
When you look at this manual that was issued by the Ministry of Education, where, or, is it as complete? And does it emphasize, do you think, on the important matters that, over time have risen to be able to mitigate emergencies, especially, scenarios such as a fire incident?
Thanks, George, for that good question. This manual was released in 2008. yeah, by then Minister Ambassador Sam Ongeri.
Yes.
Yeah, and that is the first edition. It has never been, the second edition has never come out, the third edition has never come out. Now it is 2024. You can imagine how many presidents we have changed since 2008. From 2008 till now, imagine the technology that has changed in terms of building construction, you know, in terms of the roads network and things like those. So that in place, it outright says that we need to pull up our socks, yeah, and get busy in terms of even getting even, should I say now, the second edition of this safety school manual, 2024
the
edition.
Updated version.
The updated version, yes. 2024. So the question to you is no, it's still backward. However, that said, it was well broken down. And it is available on the web for free. Everybody can actually go on the internet and just look standard safety manual. And if you go on section 6.2, that's actually where the disaster risk reduction section is, that is currently hot conversation currently in Kenya.
Yes.
And it talks about issues on safety in the physical infrastructure, the dormitories, yeah, how the doors should open, for example. You find, I've entered in schools whereby you find only it's just one door, you know, and there is no exit in that particular dormitory. And if there is even a door, a second door, it's actually closed from the outside. You know, it's closed from the outside. That manual actually clearly says it's actually illegal for you to actually lock the exit door. Another thing that the manual even talks about very clearly is that the exit door needs to be clearly marked. You need to have an exit signage that even though the lights are off, you can actually be able to see with your eyes that the exit door is there. So what if you have people with disability in that particular dorm? The dorm master or the matron who sleeps with the students needs to know where these children are, so that when there's a danger, he or she needs to go and lead the other children outside and then come and guide these children with disability. So this manual is clearly telling us where we should start.
Yeah.
So the ministers or that particular administration at that time saw the need of having this manual removed, because you remember there's this fire at the Changuli boys.
Yes.
That actually 67 children got to die. You know, do you know why? The back door, because there was a door, it wasn't opening from the outside.
It was opening.
It was opening from the inside. So you can imagine the stampede of the boys who came. They all pushed on the wall, and then now it couldn't open. So the ministers at that time was like, hey guys, can we get help towards forming this particular manual?
Indeed.
Yeah, so.
Yeah. Jose, let's take a break to be able to just, give our viewers time to get just on that. And even as, we ask you a question tonight, have you made efforts to visit the school where your learner is, where your child is, to just see the safety measures? Or are you just concerned to drop your child off and leave? Are you aware of the safety procedures? Are you aware of that manual? Have you read it? Is there an improvement that you think can be made? Even as we divulge that with our two specialists tonight, that is Jose Njuki, he is a fire safety officer, and Dr. John Mukundi, who is a proprietor of two institutions and also an expert in economics and as well as education. We are taking a short break. When we come back, that conversation continues. Please continue engaging with us.